Hi everybody, Hal Weeks for Stalking the Wild Autoharp. Do you have FineTuners? Do you reset your FineTuners? Did you know that you have to reset your FineTuners? Well, I'm going to show you how it's done and why you need to do it, and we'll talk about how often you might need to do it. So let's get busy with it, shall we? FineTuners don't come on every Autoharp. You don't need FineTuners. If you play a chromatic, you would tune, well, a lot of Autoharps just have you tuning up here at the top. Many standard Oscar Schmidts have no FineTuners. FineTuners are found down at the other end, down here. And there's different makers of FineTuners and different kinds. They all work on sort of the same principle. There's a little screw that you turn with an Allen wrench, and it helps you to zero in closer and to bump that string just that little bit of distance from, say, the notch below. If you're tuning with an electronic tuner, and you know the feeling, you get to that notch that's just below, bang on, and you know, you go, if I push this just a little bit further with this big wrench, it's going to go too far. And frequently it does. And then you got to back it down and try to recenter it till you're spot on. But with FineTuners, when you're just that little slice off, you can just tweak that little FineTuner and it just goes deep, really fast. So let me show you some of the different kinds of FineTuners. I'm holding, this is an Orthe Autoharp, and it has Greg Schreiber's FineTuners. Greg Schreiber apprenticed with George Orthe, and originally the older George Orthes have Oscar Schmidt FineTuners, which I'll show you in a minute. But the Schreiber FineTuners are quite a bit better than the Oscar Schmidt FineTuners. And I'll tell you why about that in a minute, but I'm going to show you close up here what they look like. There's a little Allen screw, and then there's this thing right here, which is called the cam, and it rocks back and forth, and the screw passes through it, sort of like this, and the string comes in like this, and it passes through a hole, and when you screw down the screw, it tips the cam back or forward, and that pulls back or releases tension little bit by little bit, and it's a smooth threaded process. And so you just turn it like a little bit, and that's all you need when you're very close to your note. I'm going to show you some of the other kinds too. They look all more the same than different. Let me show you the Oscar Schmidt now. Here's an Oscar Schmidt with FineTuners. They look a lot the same, but one thing that is different about Oscar Schmidt FineTuners is that they usually don't have, well, Oscar Schmidt never puts a bridge on in front of it. Take a look at the Orthe again. The Orthe FineTuners have this bridge in front, and the bridge is responsible for transferring the sound of the vibrating string to your soundboard, which is the top of the Autoharp, and that takes advantage of all the string vibrations. Oscar Schmidt FineTuners don't do that. Oscar Schmidt FineTuners just sit at the bottom, and they rock back and forth when you adjust the screw. I'll show it to you from the side. You can see this curved surface and the screw, and when you screw down on this, this tips back. But because there's no bridge, the FineTuner, it's a big, heavy piece of block aluminum and aluminum FineTuners, and that's a lot of mass, and it just sucks the sound away. And that's why Oscar Schmidt's with FineTuners I don't think they sound as good as the harps, the Oscar Schmidts that don't have fine tuners, but you would have to be the judge of that. Nevertheless, this works the same way. Now I'm going to show you a Daigle. All Daigle Autoharps come with fine tuners. Most luthier Autoharps come with fine tuners. Some of the exceptions would be the Sparrow Harp. This is the Sparrow Harp up here. This guy, no fine tuners. The reason being the strings are too close together. A Sparrow Harp has very close together strings, so no fine tuners on the Sparrow Harp. Here's the Daigle fine tuners. I make the fine tuners here. At the moment, I do, and the fine tuners are just a screw that sits in the same slot that holds the string, and there's a bridge in front of the fine tuner unit, and they all three kinds work the same way. You have a little Allen wrench. This is the Daigle fine tuner wrench, and it just goes into the Allen screw, and you turn it righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Righty-tighty makes the note go up, and the turning it to the left makes the number, or the pitch go down. And so if you're a little bit too high, you want to go back down, and if you're a little bit too low, you want to go back up. Am I doing it backwards to the camera? Okay, so if it's a little low, you want to go up, and if it's a little too high, you want to go down. But fine tuners are really for that range when you're just that one little. A lot of tuners show like pizza slices, and straight up and down turns the light green. So just when you're in that range that's just, you know, one increment too low or too high, that's the range that you want to use fine tuners in. Now, some people go, well, can't you use your fine tuners every day? It's like, yes, you can, if you tune every day, because your harp is only going to be that far out. But if you go months, let's say you go a month or a month and a half or more than that, and then you try to tune with your fine tuners, you are going to tap out your fine tuners. And this is what I said from the beginning, is that resetting your fine tuners is necessary. And so, see, here's what happens. Usually your harp will be found to have gone a little flat. And so you grab your fine tuning wrench, it's just a little flat, and so you turn it righty-tighty. And then a couple days later, you notice that it's all a little flat, and so you turn it righty-tighty. And then the next day, righty-tighty. And then a few days later, righty-tighty. And you're always going up with your note to get it back. Well, what's happening is you're gradually turning the screw righty-tighty, 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 righty-tighty. And what happens to a screw when you turn it to the right and to the right and to the right and to the right is it goes down in gradually. And depending on how far you tune and how often you tune with your fine tuners is going to affect. But what happens is that the screw gradually starts disappearing into the hole that it's in. And this happens on all kinds of fine tuners, every kind of fine tuner. And so eventually you're going to have to reset the screws. And so that's not a problem. I'm going to show you real quick here on this this Orthe, because it's got I haven't reset the tuners yet, and so you'll be able to see it. I'm going to hold it up end to end like this and see if I can get you to see. Here, see this one right here? See how it's further down in? And then there's some that are up higher than others. These guys right here are up a little bit higher. I can see it, especially there. That one's down, way down in, and this one's up high. And so the fine tuner heads are kind of going like this, as you go down the line. And so you want to set them up sort of in the middle of their run so that they're neutral. How do you know what the middle is? Well, eventually you'll get to know it by sight. And I can't specify for you on an orthe because I just know what that is, but I don't know what the measurement is supposed to be. But here's what you do on a daigle. Now on this daigle, they're all, I'll take this little guard off so that you can see better. This is the little Finetuner guard. And you take this off when you're going to change strings. You see the string balls now? That covers up these. But you can see the Finetuners, and the Finetuners are all nice and perfectly level. And that's why when we're here at the shop, we tune exclusively with a big wrench up at the top to keep those all nice and level. Why? Because we want them to be all nice and level for you when you buy the harp. And so you can start with a fresh set of Finetuners, and you can see what that looks like. But that distance from the tuner block that holds the tuner to the top of the screw, this distance right here, is the thickness of a nickel and a penny. So if you get a nickel and a penny, and you make a little sandwich, a little open-faced sandwich, and you hold it up next to the screw, approximately, you don't have to do it exactly, but that's the right height for your Finetuners at the beginning. So how do you reset them? And this applies to all brands of Finetuners. When you feel them, when you start seeing them disappearing all the way down in, or getting level with the top, or when on Finetuners with cams like Schreiber's and Oscar Schmidt's, the kind that have the rocker thing that goes back, when those start getting hard to turn and you start feeling tightness. Same thing with daigle. When the screws start feeling tight, that means that the string is really pushing back on it. Time to reset them. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your Finetuner wrench. Here's a wrench for the Oscar Schmidt ones and for the Schreiber ones. And yes, you can get these down at the hardware store. I'll tell you the sizes in a minute. When you reset them, you're going to want to take your Finetuner wrench and you're going to want to turn it to the left, counterclockwise, to the left, lefty-loosey, 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 several full turns. And that's going to make the screw come back up gradually till it gets to the height you want it to be. And it's also going to make the note go way out of tune, way flat. Usually it will start reading a different note, like the next note down. Like if it's a C string, it's going to be reading as a B, or even a B flat or an A sharp. And so you need to remember what that string is if it's not labeled. So tune it down, 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 down with your Finetuner, and then get your regular wrench, put it on up at the top, and retune your harp entirely this one time up at the top, just like it was an Oscar Schmidt without Finetuners. You're going to get the notes reset so it's all correct, check the chords, make sure that they're all playing correctly, and then you can start to use your Finetuners again. Now, if you want to use your fine-tuning wrench all the time, that's okay if you tune often enough. But if you let it go, it's going to get so out of tune that if you let it go, it's going to be so flat that using the Finetuner screw to make up that big difference is going to make it go down in a lot faster. And then you're going to have to reset them more often, which is also okay if you don't mind doing it and you know how. I am letting people know this because I'm getting a lot of calls and emails about this, and people don't know. They come in and they go, there's something wrong with my Finetuners. It's like, yes, They're completely down. We had a lady come in the other day, and her screws on her Daigle, they had completely disappeared down inside, like plunked out inside the Finetuner mechanism here, and they were rattling around inside because she had screwed them down so far that they disappeared down into the body of the harp, and she had no idea that you're supposed to reset them. Now, we provide, when you buy a Daigle Autoharp, we provide paperwork, and there's a booklet that explains all this. But people lose the booklet, or they forget, or they don't pay attention. I know a lot of people, because I've had students who do this, they get the Autoharp, and they're not even aware that they have Finetuners, or they're afraid to use them because they don't know how. So now you know how. This has been an instructional video on how to reset your Finetuners. I said I was going to tell you the wrench sizes. So ours is 3/32 Allen wrench. So, you know, if you needed to replace it, if you lost the wrench, you could go to the hardware store and pick up a 3/32 wrench. The Oscar Schmitz and the Schreiber style are 2.5 millimeter. And this one is a hardware store style. You can get them with a nice T-handle if you want. And there are other Finetuners out there. And so if yours don't match any of these, you might have, I think that Ray Choi has his own Finetuners, and I'm not sure what size he uses. And there are some other ones out there too that are, other luthiers who build, and they use their own Finetuners. Buck Lumbert comes to mind. He had his own style of Finetuners, and I'm not sure. So whenever I have to work with one of those harps, I go grab my hex wrench set and I fiddle with it until I find the right fit. So that's how you reset your Finetuners and why you need to. This has been a long video, so I'm hoping to edit it down. I'm Hal Weeks. If you enjoy this content, if you get a lot out of it, and you learn something you didn't know, if it helped you out, you can help me out. Go to my Patreon, please, and kick in a few bucks a month. And that would help me to grow my channel and keep doing these. Help me stay motivated, help me pay my bills. And if you need some lessons, I can teach you right from the comfort of this very shop, right over there. I can work with you on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis. You don't have to have a fancy Autoharp, but I can help you to play, to get started, or to get better. So I'm Hal Weeks. Thanks for watching Stalking the Wild Autoharp. We'll see you around. Bye-bye.